How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the STD Podcast. I just started recording because we were talking with Shimmy about, he just did a photo shoot, and I was just kind of curious what he's doing after the diet or what his direction is, his periodization looks like moving forward.
So. Yes. So first nugget of advice for anybody listening is if you're planning a photo shoot, you're planning to get lean for a vacation, you have a show, whatever it is, make sure that you have the after plan in place before the thing actually happens. Just makes things way easier. That's first order of business. Now, what I actually did. So today's Friday. My last hard training session was Sunday. I had the photo shoot on Wednesday. So I've had two deload training sessions this week. The photo shoot was one day, so it was a lot of like flexing, pumping up, fine. And then the rest of the days were off. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing another light session because Dylan and I, Dylan White, if any of you guys know him, he just competed in a bodybuilding show today. He got his IFBB Pro card, placed second. Amazing. Good for him. Go follow him, Dylan M. White on Instagram. I think that's what it is.
Real quick.
So...
Real quick, sorry, I'm just curious. He got second in his class?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're going to train tomorrow, like nice light pump session, whatever, and then get some food. And then starting Sunday, I'm actually going to be doing one mesocycle of a pretty high volume to add about 5 to 7 pounds of body weight back to my frame. And then the plan is actually to maintain there for a TBD period of time, because what I'm going to try to do, I've never done this. What I'm going to try to do is actually take an extended break from massing and cutting and like physique emphasis.
We need a new co-host now.
Yes. So I'm still going to be training. Absolutely. But I'm going to be taking my training sessions down from 6 to 7 sessions a week to about 4. My maintenance volume for pretty much all body parts is around 6 sets a week, because that's just not enough. And I just really want to make sure I don't lose anything. I'm going to go to 8 sets a week. It's not a big deal. It's going to be basically 4 sets twice a week. For those people that come that are going to ask this, no, that doesn't apply to hamstrings. Hamstrings will just be like 4 or 5 sets. I will still be training my abs directly. That'll be probably about 6 sets. So 2 sets, 3 times a week. And, just kind of live in this passive body for a while. My lowest body weight was 177 pounds, which was a new low, with veins all over my abs and cool striations in my back. So the intent is to mass up to about 184, 185. And I'm about 5'11 and a half and live there. So I'll still be lean. I'll still have very visible abs, and I won't have necessarily striations everywhere, but I'll still be like very lean. And then, if any opportunities come about, whether it be photo shoots or stuff for YouTube or something, I'm probably 2 mesocycles or 6 to 8 weeks away from being super shredded again. And then if I decide that I do want to mass and, go back to massing and cutting and present another new best look, from 185, it's probably a 3 mesocycle mass. And then I would just diet right back down. So in theory, the way that I have it mapped out of my mind, it's a nice middle ground for me. But that's the plan. Take about a 5-week accumulation. I'm going to keep relatively the same exercise variations that I had in the last mesocycle before my photo shoot. I'll probably increase some rep ranges just because doing the 6 to 10 rep range right now for most things doesn't really make sense. So I'll have, some new intensity techniques in there, and I'll have a big surplus of food. So I'm going to be dropping my steps. At the peak, my steps were between 14 and 15,000. This entire week of deload, I dropped them to 12K. My intent is to keep them around 11K throughout the duration of this like massing back up period. And doing so will, of course, allow me to keep a significant amount of food coming in, but will also allow me to have, any kind of junk food that I want, because I'll still be super active. So this is the plan at the moment. If any of you guys have questions, I'm all ears.
So I'm asking this because me and you have talked about this before. Yeah. So, you're getting to the point where maybe not indefinitely, but at least for a period of time, you're kind of putting physique aspirations and goals a bit on the back burner. what are you going to do instead?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And also for anybody else that's out there that's thinking about this, I learned this from my extended maintenance phase before this sort of photo shoot diet, that if you don't have something physical that's pulling at you, if you've been like bodybuilding and stuff for a really long time, you're going to end up just going back to bodybuilding because you're going to be like, I don't have an outlet. So currently, the intent is to trial Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to love it. I hope that I do. My intent is just to be like really conservative, go 2-3 times a week. That's it. And honestly, this is going to sound funny, but like I'm a beginner, so adherence is more important than everything for me. So if I can just go 2-3 times a week and have fun and learn some stuff along the way, that's the plan. And then after, if I can do that for a year and commit and like not miss, that'll be a win. And then, my degree of seriousness of how I take it will sort of elevate from there. But now, like showing up, it actually would be the goal. And it won't be easy because I won't like it because I'm going to suck.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna suck a lot when you
yeah. So that's the plan. And then also for any of you guys that don't know, I also dance. I do like a bunch of different dances that I really love. And to be honest, dancing is more fun than everything. It's just an absolute blast. But like, when you're lifting weights and super sore all the time, 6-7 times a week, like you don't really necessarily have the mind power to be like creative or to want to like dance and train and practice. So now that I'll basically have a whole like mess of recovery that have available to me now, I'm hoping to be able to be doing that consistently as well. And then as far as the training goes, just be regular 4 days a week, upper lower split, keeping the sets relatively static. I do plan on deadlifting throughout because deadlifts are one of those movements where since the volume needed to actually make progress is so low, I actually wouldn't be surprised if me keeping it in all year would still bring my back up, which would be amazing. Like even though I'm on maintenance. So that's the plan. So I'll have 1 rest day a week, 4 weight training sessions, and then either 2 or 3, either BJJ or MMA, but it's probably going to be BJJ. And then I'll sprinkle in, God willing, like 30 to 45 minutes of dance training a couple of times a week as well. And I think that my life quality is going to go up.
Yeah. I think that you'd be able to dance relatively easy.
Yeah.
With that, if I can give you any advice on jiu-jitsu, 3 days a week to start.
2 is not enough.
2 is not enough as a beginner. You need the repetition to learn the skill.
The thing that I have, or the hang up, or the reservation that I have about BJJ is that I just want to do the skill. I don't care about any of the stupid conditioning about any. Yeah, but it's part of it. You know what I mean? Because like I don't think I'm.
That'll come. You're going to be better off than 50% of people at least to start anyway. You're going to be fine on the conditioning standpoint, the cardio standpoint, and that'll improve as you do it. But it's very difficult for beginners to begin to grasp the principles of jiu-jitsu and the techniques of jiu-jitsu any less than 3 days a week, because it's such a technical sport that it requires much more frequency.
What are your thoughts on doing privates? Do you think it's necessary?
Not necessary, but as a beginner, it would slingshot you further.
So how do you think that should be structured? I mean, privates also get very expensive. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gets expensive. We all know this. For anybody that doesn't know, like a regular bodybuilding gym is anywhere from like $20 to $80 a month. I know that's a big range. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like $150 or $200. Like it's expensive.
I'm going to pay $150 a month.
Yeah. And then privates themselves are like $200.
Yeah, privates.
$150. Like so that's why I don't see myself doing privates.
Most people I know charge basically like $10 an hour per year they've done it. 10 to 15 an hour, depending on the kind of area they live. So yeah, privates get expensive. I have never actually paid for a private.
Well, it's different.
But I didn't start doing this, when I started, I hadn't been 10 years of doing it, I had.
Yeah, I mean, when you started, you probably didn't do privates till years and years in, I'd guess.
What I'm saying, yeah, I've never paid for a private. I even now, granted, I have friends and whatnot, and I can, leverage that. And at this point, because I have been doing it so long, but as a beginner, you can definitely kind of pick up the pace of figuring things out, and getting yourself started and rolling if you do privates. But then you have to say, oh, well, I'm a beginner. Is that commitment and that, expense worth it? How do you know if you like it enough to, be dropping potentially 500 a month between classes and privates?
I'm not doing that. I'm not spending that.
Exactly. I would not suggest to do privates.
I'm not, yeah. Yeah. And then also for anybody that's listening to this that is of potentially a similar mindset to me, I think what you all need to remember, and what I remind myself of for sure, is physique isn't going anywhere and bodybuilding isn't going anywhere. I mean, if you guys follow him, take somebody like Nick Shaw, for example. Nick Shaw was obsessed with physique and competed in some bodybuilding shows for years. He was, all in. And then he seemingly just like went to maintenance training, had a family, grew Renaissance periodization, and didn't train hard for years. And now in the last 2 years, he's like, oh, I feel like doing this again. And now look at him. He looks better than he's ever looked before.
Yeah,
so
showing us he looked really good at his last showing.
Yeah, he looked unbelievable. And so, this is something to consider. It's like, this is why I say I'm planning to do this now. Maybe I take a break from this stuff for 3 months, 6 months, or 4 years. I don't know. I'm 29 years old. But I also know that it's not going anywhere. I also know that I can pick it back up anytime that I want. And also, little secret that we all know is that usually the older you get, the more your body and muscle sort of matures. So when you get leaner, it actually looks better.
Yeah.
A lot of people peak in their like mid-30s, late 30s.
Yeah, right.
As far as physique. It'll be really interesting to see
mid-30s of all of us here. Oof.
What?
I'm closest to mid-30s of all of us here. That hurts me.
All good. Yeah, it's probably next door. No worries. Yeah, they sent pornography. I said that wasn't for me. I don't need that. It's not mine. I swear, it's not mine.
It'll be what I was gonna say. I think it'll be really interesting to see Shimmy, you apply the, like you said, consistency that you have to bodybuilding to something else, and then see what comes of that.
Yeah, man. I'm like, to be honest, I really hope that I can do it. I might not be able to. You know what I mean? It might be one of these things where I start and I'm like, no, like this, I can't do anything else. Like, this is what I love. And like, I hope that's not true.
It might be. I mean, obviously you can always, if you nothing else catches you, you can say, I'm going to focus more on dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, because dancing is something I already do and I'm good at. Yeah,
exactly.
Did you watch Mike on Elite FTS the other day?
3 hours.
It was good.
I just had it on like in the background when I was cooking.
Yeah.
It was really cool because he was talking about that during that podcast.
Yeah.
About like having to shift goals. Yeah. And how that is psychologically. Like if you don't find something else, you're most likely, like you said, go back to physique training.
Mm-hmm.
So having something else where you can shift that goal to. One thing I wanted to say was, are you going to do any direct cardio for cardiovascular health?
No.
Why is that?
I plan on keeping a step count of 10,000 every day. So I'll do a 2-mile walk, 4,000 steps every morning. And I think that that's just nice in general, no matter where I'm at, where I'm traveling, whatever. I like that routine of like waking up, mixing my protein shake and going for a walk. It's a really nice thing to do. Obviously I do it when I'm dieting. Yeah. And even when I'm masking, to a certain extent, I do it. When I have a dog, like that's an easy 2-mile walk. It's great. So I'll do that. But then Dylan, if you see here, all the activities that I'm choosing have a very big cardiovascular component in themselves, whether it be dancing or Brazilian jiu-jitsu or mixed martial arts. So I think my cardio will be covered. And then on top of that, I'm going to be weight training 4 days a week. So I honestly think I'm going to be like a model of health.
Yeah, I 100% agree. If you're gonna, I'm gonna take up painting, and then okay, maybe you might want to do some cardio.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking up things that are, but like you said, both dancing or any kind of martial arts, striking sport, competitive in general, the cardio component of that is way harder and more intense. And
plus I'll still have the baseline of 10,000 steps a day. Like I'll still be set there too.
So as far as cardio goes, you'll be more than you had lifting by a long shot.
Yeah. I was going to say the 10,000 steps has you covered, but I was thinking zone 2, and I think that both of those activities probably put you within that zone for a sustained period. At least dance
would almost for sure put him in zone 2, zone 3.
I'll tell you one thing that I know that Trevor has spoken about in the past, not here because it wasn't warranted on a different platform, because I'm sure some people are going to ask as well. I will not be doing any sports specific stuff in the gym or any sports specific cardio at all.
Thank you.
Why? I'm not the biggest kid on the block, but I'm going to have more muscle than majority of people that I roll against.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have the least amount of skill in the thing. So logic would state my efforts would be best suited to do the thing. And my conditioning will come from getting good at the thing. Right. There will be no power cleans in my routine. There will be no hang pulls or box jumps. I assure you, my bodybuilding training will be the same. All the difference will be a significant reduction in set volumes and in proximity to failures, meaning I'm not going 0 to failure, and I'm probably not going 1 to failure either, 1 away from failure. I'm probably going to stay in like 2 to 5 reps away from failure.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for the record, that's like exactly kind of what I do when I am preparing for a jiu-jitsu tournament, which I haven't done in a few years, but used to. I competed multiple times a year.
And if I do end up liking this, mind you, and this year I train 3 days a week, like Trevor says, then year 2, maybe I go to 4 days a week. Then year 3, maybe I go to 5 days a week. Maybe by that time, I would start to add in some sprint work, maybe some strength phases, because at that time, I think that would probably be warranted. At that time, I'd probably be a blue belt. Maybe I'd be a purple belt. I don't know. But maybe it would be necessary. But at this point in time, like, it's absolutely not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the examples that you gave as far as training are definitely more specific than I see some people sports specific training doing. Like some people do some ridiculous exercises. So like, oh, this has carryover into BJJ when it's just like, I don't know, some weird sidestep lunge that has probably no muscle growth benefit or skill benefit.
Yeah, man, one of the dumbest things, there used to be a guy here who was like very much considered like he was the big guy a lot of fighters, MMA guys, jiu-jitsu guys went to for strength and conditioning training. Hardcore West Side conjugate dude. Hardcore. Flat out said, if you're doing anything other than a super wide above parallel box squat for combat sports, you're wasting your time because it's useless for sport carryover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've heard. He also had people squatting with like 135 pounds and 350 pounds of band tension. And I'm like, and then people ask me about like, oh, how's your base so good? How are you able to move like you do? You're a big guy. How are you so flexible? Because I squat deep.
Because you're strong in those positions that you can put into in BJJ.
With jiu-jitsu, I think that's actually one of the most sport specific things you can do is train in these extreme ranges of motion.
Yeah,
because you're gonna get put there when you're on the mats.
Yeah, let's say in 5 years we're all doing length and partials. If you're doing BJJ, you should still be doing full ROM most likely. 100%. Yeah. Real quick on the proximity to failure, did you see the study Milo posted up today?
I did not. What was it?
Yeah, I only read, so I have the preprint. I just haven't had time to read it today, but it was about proximity to failure, and there was, but the thing is I don't know how
it was a meta about proximity to failure and muscle growth, and the thing is it's not showing anything we didn't already know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
What
I
it's
thought.
showing is that on a set to set basis, training closer to failure is more more effective for muscle growth than further away from failure.
Right.
But
That's
we
what I
already knew
thought. So my curiosity, is there any
any of us at least have ever said that like training to failure or training 3 reps in reserve is the exact same muscle growth?
right? And my thing is too is I think he had mentioned that it might be better than volume progression, and I don't want to put him in a box. Hopefully we'll have him on soon and we can actually discuss this with him. But I think that my question was like, why is it and or?
So here's the thing, and this is
Yeah,
something that I see all the time, and I've talked about it multiple times, and it's this idea that like high volume training or the RP method is,
I really hate that. I really hate
oh
it.
dude, me too.
I get
Me too.
DMs about this all the time where they'll be like, hey, I've seen, like, I know what you and the RP guys do. And I'm like, I already know what they mean,
yes,
but I hate it.
I hate it so much. And it's just people either misrepresenting or misinterpreting or just not fucking knowing. It's like there's this idea that it's like, oh, you're progressing volume and you're just you're keeping reps in reserve and adding sets every week. And no, it's not. The goal is like, okay, week 1 after a deload, you're a bit further from failure because you're more sensitive. You've detrained a little bit within a deload. It's probably smarter to train a little further in failure. And then you just progressively take yourself closer to failure throughout a mesocycle. And you add volume when and if you need volume.
Right.
It's not you're not just adding volume for the hell of it every week. And that's it's just people misinterpreting what it is, I think, is a big part of it.
Right. Yeah, I think I actually said that on one of Jared's posts recently. It's like, I think a lot of people, I've seen other researchers misrepresent it, and I'm like, I think that they're not too familiar with like they'll put the like Mike mentioned, it's like full ROM is just tongue in cheek, right? But everybody's like, oh, RPs, they're all the team full ROM, like they only do full range of motion in all circumstances. There's no caveats, and it's like, no, if you actually listen to what a lot of them have to say, it's not that at all.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Dylan, speaking of which, when are we getting Milo on? That's awesome.
I'm gonna ask him soon because I'm actually, let me read this preprint because now that he has that, I have a ton of stuff to ask him.
Did we have
I've had
him
him
on
a couple. I've had him on a couple times.
Did we have him on?
We never did. We should. We've talked about it.
What are we waiting for?
I don't know. I wanted to actually. Oh yeah, no. What I said was I wanted to try some of the length and partial stuff so we could discuss it with him, which we have been. So and now with this preprint
you did the 1.5 squats. You loved them, right?
Yeah, and then we have some other stuff we're doing. Like Trevor and I discussed doing length and partials for calves and forearms, like almost exclusively for this meso, and we're trying.
I have another suggestion for you. What vertical pulling are you doing?
We're using it some there as well.
Yeah.
What vertical pulling are you using it
on? Pull downs. What else do we even have? I haven't finished the week yet, so I don't know.
It's just like parallel.
He's too big for pull-ups, right, Trevor?
So he put pull-ups in this week, but I actually did them. I had to mention this in my check-in with him because I had to do them partial to be able to get enough reps for it to be effective.
Exactly. Length and partials on pull-ups. Do that.
I had to. Yeah, I know I had to because I was like, I did my first. Yeah, I did my first set and I did like 5 reps and I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna work. So I pulled to like eye level. I think
that's exactly why I put them in there. Is
really?
Just to like nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those worked great actually though. So
Trevor, I got a really good idea for you. I haven't tried it yet, but it's an idea. You know how we do like 1.5s on a hack squat or Smith machine or whatever. 1.5s on cambered bar bench.
Oh God.
Good idea, right? I never seen it.
Just thinking about it.
Good idea.
I would do it.
Yeah. I would like to do it.
Deficit push-ups.
Huh?
I thought about doing it on deficit push-ups.
Yeah, that works too. That works too. Maybe I'll do them on dips this mesocycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about it a little bit. But I was Trevor and I were kind of discussing this, but like it's interesting because on some exercises it's like definitely better. Some exercises neutral, and then some exercises like SFR wise, it's probably worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you some that are horrible on it. Flies.
Dumbbell flies were all right,
No
but I think
good.
that was. But I think it was already.
I wouldn't do it on flies because exactly a fly is all about the bottom anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that's why I think
just cutting out the middleman, right? It was just cutting out the
flies is just don't come all the way up anyway. Which is honestly, it's not much different. I've always told people stop here, and now I'm saying stop here.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't think of any bicep movements also where it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I did them before Trevor and I were together. I did them on Preacher. It was all right. Actually, no, I remember getting a good SFR from those on Preacher.
I could see it on like a free weight Preacher curl, but I just hate free weight Preacher curls. I get an awful SFR.
I don't think it would work for me.
But I will say so.
Dude, I want to try 1.5s on stiff legged deadlifts.
I'm gonna try 1.5 on everything.
I do.
The whole 1.5 program.
Yeah,
everything.
I do want to do that. That's accurate.
Do your maintenance. Nothing to lose.
I'm not on maintenance yet. Now, yeah.
That's right. You have your mat space.
Yeah, I'm doing 1.5 hack squats for sure because I can't do straight sets in the 10 to 15 rep range again. I can't be bothered. And I did 1 week of them and I posted about it and it was awesome. So I'm totally totally doing them.
Yeah. I have a client who texts me every time he does the 1.5s and he just says, "Fuck you."
It's an accurate description though. It's pretty miserable.
Yeah. What were you saying, Trevor? I think you were saying something.
I've had on the hip hinging. I've had a client. I've not had anyone do them with stiff legs yet because I haven't done it. But I've had people do 45-degree back raises.
Yeah, you had me do those.
Yeah, I had you do it, and I have another client doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Milo was doing it with deadlifts. Well,
yeah,
interesting. This deficit was like insane. I was like, oh my god. Well, what were you saying?
Go.
Oh, I guess we'll have more to say about that with Milo, so we'll get him on in the.
Yeah, and Nick. When's Nick coming on? What's going on here?
I don't know. He never responded back. He was like, "Cool, I'll come on," and then I was like, "Oh, Kuro, what time works for you? We film on these days." And he just didn't. Maybe I'll send him a follow up. Maybe after this. I wanted to talk a little bit about straight sets versus intensity techniques. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that. I think it's something that we've touched on before, but some of the more popular like TikTok, Instagram influencers have come out and said like, well, these are less effective than straight sets. And maybe on a set by set case that may have some validity. I think that it also is somewhat, I don't know how to say this.
I think I know exactly why they're saying that though, which already means it's like a load of shit.
Here, go, Trevor.
I think a lot of the reason why people are saying, especially the TikTok and Instagram stuff, and I will skip naming names, but some big names have said that 4 to 6 reps is the most productive range to ever train in, and going above 8 in particular is completely useless and you should never do it.
Do you mean JPG coaching perhaps?
He's not one of the big ones that started it though. He got it from somebody else.
He says a lot of that stuff,
but he got it from 2 other people who I'm going to not name.
You're not going to name them.
I will. No.
Sure.
Fine. One of them is Paul Carter, but whatever. I'm completely blocked by him anyway, so who cares? And then, but so they're saying that like, oh, if you're doing more than 8 reps, it's junk volume. You're just adding fatigue. It's not useful for muscle growth. So therefore, any kind of intensity technique is less effective than a straight set of 4 to 8 reps or whatever. And that's just like not true. But it's the same. Where the same place that this is coming from is the same thing that is saying like, oh well, a lot of muscles don't respond to length and partials, even though there's more direct research showing the exact muscles they say don't respond to it.
Right.
So I just I don't really care what those people have to say, because the people on Instagram and TikTok who are repeating it are literally just doing that. They're repeating it. Half of them have been lifting for 8 months, and they just blew up on TikTok. So now they think that they're an expert.
Yeah, fellas, I think there's so many things that can be said about this. I mean, first of all, context is everything. There are periods of time where straight sets are amazing, and there are periods of time where using intensity techniques are more favorable than using straight sets. 100%. To say that one is better than the other is unfair and unfounded and short-sighted.
Well, you guys both right now are in like polar opposites, but where both of you are in a situation where more intensity techniques make more sense given your context. Dylan's peak mass, last mass phase, a mass mesocycle of a total of multiple mesocycles. It's been a whole block. He's not going to do nothing but straight sets at this point.
Yeah,
because it's just beat up. What is he going to do? Like 10 straight sets of squats or of bench press, and then Shimmy, you're on the other end of that, where you just finished a super hard diet where you got super lean. What are you gonna do? Like literally only you're only gonna do straight sets of 6 to 10 hack squats.
Sure.
Not to mention both are injury risks.
Yeah, and then what you also have to remember is that being that we are operating in a world of social media, straight sets are more exciting to talk about, to film, and to put people through versus straight sets. So they can garner more attention, more eyeballs, more clicks. So it's also easy to do that. And straight sets also lend themselves well to people with ADD. I mean, excuse me, intensity techniques lend themselves better.
They're more exciting.
To people with ADD. People that don't want to focus on doing things that are the same and just boring, they can gravitate towards intensity techniques because it adds more flair, it adds more fun.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one. When someone's doing
instant gratification with an intensity technique.
Sure, absolutely. And then from a nuts and bolts standpoint, intensity techniques also do a fantastic job of band-aiding someone's inability to perform high quality technique. Or high effort, or to track week to week. Because chances are, like, tracking week to week is super boring if you're not used to it. But if you throw intensity techniques in there, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, I really crushed it this week because I added in a drop set and it was super nasty.
Right.
Like, yeah. What'd you do last week? Did you beat reps from last week? And, obviously you can still track intensity techniques too, but they lend themselves more to like fun workouts and video workouts and attention grabbing workouts. And if Trevor had a YouTube page and he was training Arnold Schwarzenegger and he was going to put him through something, chances are he's not going to put him through. Well, because it's him, he might put him through 3 sets of 6 to 10 rep squats and just like perfect his technique, and that'll be cool for sure. But it'd be more exciting to do that and then make him do like an iso hold at the end, or do a drop set of Bulgarian split squats and, say I did 30 reps or something, just because it's more fun to say, it's more fun to talk about. Straight sets are not so exciting to talk about. Huh?
More entertaining to watch.
And to talk about.
Yeah.
And to write about.
You are right. And so like I like that you followed up with that, because I don't want my initial reaction to come off as saying like, oh, it to seem like intensity techniques are better. I think straight sets should be the bread and butter, and it should be the base of your program pretty much most of the time. But just to say that using intensity techniques are ineffective or a waste of time is just stupid.
They're fantastic. It just goes back to the thing that I said at the top. It's contextual. Time and a place.
100%. Yeah, I would. Coming off an active rest, I'm my second mesocycle into coming off of an active rest. First mesocycle had 0 intensity techniques. Second mesocycle has like 3 over the entire week.
Yeah, it's because that's
And the rest
all
is
you
straight
need.
sets.
Right. That's all you need.
Exactly.
Volume
When
needs are
I'm
low.
Yeah.
You're super fresh. What are you saying, Jimmy? Sorry.
when I'm implementing intensity techniques, I don't even introduce them until a third or fourth mesocycle. I don't even put them in the second either. Because in the second one, I'm just acclimating to the movements. Maybe at best, I'm going to be increasing rep ranges at times, but I don't even need them.
Yeah.
Now, on a per volume basis, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the stuff about like consolidated rests not being as good for muscle growth, or if you have any opinions on that. I'm just curious if you are familiar with that at all.
Consolidated rest.
Yeah, so rest, 60-second rest.
The longer you rest, the more muscle growth you're going to do. And a lot of these intensity techniques, we're consolidating rest. Obviously, we're doing other things like, I don't know. I guess some of the crux of some of them is consolidated rest. So I was just kind of curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what the intensity technique I'm using is. So it depends what is my intent. Some of them may warrant being pre-programmed as having short rest periods. Some of them do not.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a drop set, that's no rest. That's going right into it. But if I'm pre-planning to, let's say, do a set of sumo squats very close to failure and then going into an iso hold at the bottom, like I'm going to rest enough before doing that entire set to make sure that I'm ready to go. So I think it really just depends on what the intensity technique is.
And I think this is a thing where it's like, if we're talking about like, if your entire program is nothing but drop sets and supersets and mechanical drop sets and all this other stuff, like if that's the entirety of your program, yeah, you're probably not training. Your training could be better. And I guess I don't want to say that that's not how most people train, because I don't know. It's TikTok. It's probably how a lot of people watching TikTok train. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But again, I think it goes back to like, what is the context we're talking about this in?
I guess what my thoughts were is that generally speaking, we're not really violating any of the principles of muscle growth, right? Usually, like if you're resting, it's a 4-factor rest model, or at least that's what I use, and I imagine you guys use something similar. We're going close to failure in a lot of these, in all of these, right? The only thing that's changing is sometimes the rest time, but even then, on like a lot of the time, we're doing some of these intensity techniques on those muscle groups that don't need as much rest either. So I guess it's
like I don't think you can convince me that I should rest as long between sets of lateral raises as I need to for a set of hack squats.
Yeah, you're just standing around doing nothing.
You can convince me that I am leaving growth on the table because I'm resting 60 seconds between lateral raises instead of 4 minutes like I am between hack squats.
And you're just like, I'm recovered. I'm ready to do another set. Like, why am I waiting?
Exactly.
How much more performance are you going to get out of waiting another 30 seconds in that case?
I'll also add one other thing, and it's funny because it seems like, and I guess this is what people come to our podcast for, always seems to end at this point that I'm about to bring up. I've seldom met somebody who has a lot of intensity techniques in their program who just fundamentally has good technique.
Oh, 100%.
In general, I find that most people use intensity techniques as a method of band-aiding the fact that they're really bad at lifting weights.
You're 100% right.
They're really bad at mind-muscle connection. I've never seen it. I've had plenty of people whose programs I've critiqued, who've worked out with me in the gym, and they've shown me their program, their routine, and on paper, it's very fancy, very wow. And then I watch them work out, and they just suck. It just is what it is. They're just bad at working out. And then, I either like send them a video to copy, or they work out with me in person. And then they're like, oh my God, what have I been doing all along? And I'm like, shit, that's what you've been doing. You've been doing shit work. You're bad. But now you're not bad. Okay. We're learning. This is good. So It's so funny. It just feels like our podcast always ends up in this place. Like, more of the story: your technique is bad, fix it. Your effort's bad, fix it.
Well, if we just talked about, I mean, we've probably repeated ourselves multiple times, and even this is somewhat a repetition of what we talked about before, but that's like all it ultimately comes down to. I mean, this content is probably going to be somewhat repetitive because people still have bad technique. People are still band-aiding their technique and lack of effort and everything with intensity techniques, and it probably needs to be said. It probably needs to be said multiple times. So I think there's still validity, and there's not much else out of that. There's not many like secrets that you're not doing as far as your training that are just going to move the needle a whole lot outside of improving your technique and supplying sufficient effort.
Yep.
And a quick transition off that. 15 minutes, cool with you guys?
Yeah.
So Shimmy, you're going into this. You're going to do kind of a mass to restore your body weight. Where was I going to go with that? Oh yeah. What are you doing with eating? So during your maintenance phase, are you going to track every single day
for the rest of my life?
Okay. So you're gonna
that's in me though. Like, that's not stressful for me. So I'll be tracking my food to the day I die. That doesn't bother me though. I'm rare. I get that. That's not normal. That's just what I do.
Right. So well, but I know Trevor, like for example, you've mentioned to me before, you will, especially in like maybe a not as serious physique enhancement phase, some sort of maintenance or active rest or whatever, you'll track one day and then probably eat similar to the same foods. Like you might not track every single day. Is that right?
I'm not tracking those days because it's not changing from the last 4 days, Right. It's like literally the same foods. I'm still weighing out everything.
Do either of you ever have, I mean, I guess Jimmy probably not, but based on what you said, but do either of you ever have a period where you eat somewhat intuitively?
Yeah, I did on my last maintenance phase. And you know what? I hated it. I hated it. I don't like it. Like, you got to meet people where they're at, and everybody's different. It's just me, man. I like it. Even if I go out, and I'm not even kidding, if I go have 2 slices of pizza and garlic knots, I'm literally going to go on my phone and I'm going to write 15 grams of protein, 90 grams of carbs, 35 grams of fat. I swear to you, I will write that. And like, it's just something. It's just some kind of checks and balance to have. Is that right? No, but it's definitely not going to be off. Like, that's not so far off, right, from what I had. So I always do that. But to answer your question from before of like nuts and bolts. So end of my diet, my calories weren't so bad. It was 2450. It's not so bad. For this week of maintenance, I raised them to about 2650, 2700. And I'm going to start massing around 3000, a little bit more than 3000. So it's like body weight times like 17 or 18 or something. And I think that will be enough, but I'm still going to be weighing myself probably 4 or 5 times a week and taking the average and marking the trend. So as long as I'm gaining weight, at the appropriate speed, then I'll be good to go, and I'll just reduce if needed.
Trevor, you're going to say something about how you do it?
I was just going to say, when you asked about intuitive eating, I was going to say, I intuitively eat like an asshole on the holidays.
Yeah, I don't do that.
My inner fatty comes out, but I mean, it's different than it used to be, though. It's still like my appetite regulation has changed pretty drastically, especially in the past couple of years.
Well, and your skill set. I mean, I imagine both of you have the skill set to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, well, and like
stay at maintenance. Like
Shimmy said, where he just said he'll, rough guesstimate. I can't not eat any something and not look at it and be like, yeah, this is roughly this.
Yeah. No, same.
And also, we're wired like that. We're wired like that because of our point. Also, like, you're a large person, but you're also super active. So when you say I eat like an asshole, you're also not acknowledging the fact that you probably also lifted weights twice that day with 16,000 steps. So it's like, you can do what you want,
Yeah. Like last Thanksgiving, I I trained before Thanksgiving dinner. I trained jujitsu for 2 hours. I lifted weights, and then I think throughout the day I got like 14,000 steps.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do what you want. Like Dylan, to like come back to like the original. I'm setting my maintenance, my guest maintenance as like body weight times 15. But if everything goes to plan and I'm lifting weights 4 days a week, doing 10,000 steps and doing all those other things, my maintenance might even be higher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it might be. And then I just get to eat more foods. Beautiful. That's called living life, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my kind of where I was coming from this, we had talked roughly about intuitive eating last week, and I wanted to touch on it this week. Is that in most cases, all of us, if we were just eating, we'd probably be eating mostly whole foods. So we'd probably be eating more protein. We'd probably eating protein with each meal, some sort of veggie, right? Like fruit, stuff like that. We'd probably make up a majority of our diet just by default, probably because of what we've learned about nutrition. I imagine I get some sort of satisfaction out of eating that way. I don't know if you guys do as well, outside of physique enhancement. Like I just enjoy eating. What?
You just feel better.
100%.
Yeah.
So in that case, your hunger signal, and this is something that's I was actually thinking about this morning, is like a lot of people will be like, well, I use hunger as it's the stupidest thing ever. I use hunger as a like gauge for if I'm growing or something like stupid like that. And hunger doesn't work like that. Like hunger is obviously largely genetic, but it's also like determined by the types of foods you're eating. That's something I've learned in recent years, right? So if you're eating a bunch of processed shit, you're going to be hungry a lot of the time.
Yeah,
and you're also eating a lot more calories.
If you're eating nothing but like even not saying processed shit, if you're eating nothing but white rice and chicken breast or tilapia, you're going to be a lot hungrier than if you mix some whole grains in there, you mix some fruit in there, you mix some vegetables in there.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that bodybuilders still diet on that shit too.
Yeah, I don't even get me started on that.
Like why? It's just so much harder.
I don't eat rice at all when I'm dieting.
Yeah, me either.
And Shimmy is not a person who is got like a huge appetite either. So for him to say that,
yeah, no, I don't.
It's not worth it for a lot of.
You know what I did discover though, this dieting phase a lot, man. Yeah. Like these fiber cereal bars are so good. Like you can buy these Fiber One bars that have got like 15 grams of carbs, but 8 grams of fiber and like 2 grams of fat or something. And they actually taste fantastic. These things are awesome. Nature Valley makes like you couldn't eat this, Trevor, but they make like it's like not a muffin. It's blueberry muffin flavored, but it's like a little cake. And I think it's like 28 grams of carbs and like 4 grams of fiber and 5 grams of fat or something.
Nature Fiber One, like square cake.
I hate those because they're too small.
See, I love those, but I'll just have like 2 of them, and I'm like, oh, that's good.
You see the
fiber but you literally have 2 of them. That's like 16 grams of fiber.
Yeah,
good.
I eat like 80 grams of fiber a day, Shimmy.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm really mindful of that. So I will only eat 1 at a time, and I put them in the fridge or the freezer.
That is a pro tip for eating protein bars.
Depends on the protein bar.
If you're on a diet.
No, because some of the protein bars, if you put them in the freezer, like it's literally like a workout.
Yeah, that's why I said fridge or freezer. You can't put a Quest bar.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you guys what. If you ever eat Power Crunch bars in the freezer is a friggin' treat. Those are the bars that are basically wafers. They're just fat and protein and very low carb. So the macros are like pretty meh. It's like 13 grams of fat, 13 grams of protein, and like 10 grams of carbs. But oddly enough, the protein is hydrolyzed, which is weird.
Yeah. I like the lemon with Power Crunch.
All of them are amazing. I just finished a box of s'mores. They're unbelievable.
Literally never had them.
Huh.
I mean, it makes sense why you don't have them because they're higher in fat.
Yeah.
You're not keto. Keto's good for your health.
If I was fat loading, it'd be amazing. I'd eat 3 of them at a time.
Speaking
I was
of
eating some, I was. What did you say, Trevor?
Tan is starting peak tomorrow.
Are you doing a fat load with him?
Yeah.
Nice. Are you using the peaking paper? Like,
Yeah.
did you use some of the parameters in there? Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Sweet. Yeah, I know. I was eating some interesting things when I did that. Avocado, cheese, eggs,
Brisket.
Yeah, I try not to do too much saturated fat. There's like
Yeah,
even that paper.
In a fat load, trying to limit it to an extent.
Yeah, because I mean, even in that paper, they're like, oh, it might be inflammatory, so maybe avoid them. Maybe not. It's very acute, so I'm not like super concerned with it.
Just looking at like the cellular action and cellular membrane of it, like it completely bro science, whatever. But I think that more than likely, like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats would probably lead to a better fat load than like a lot of saturated fats.
Yeah, because there's some stuff about saturated fats leading to insulin resistance to some degree, and like, yeah. So again, very acute, but I guess we're working within acute.
Yeah, I mean, what peak week is.
Yeah, interesting. I'm excited to see how he looks.
Anyway,
Is he getting on stage?
Yeah, next Saturday.
Yeah, he's gotten really lean, man. Good job, both of you guys.
He's gotten free and shredded. Crazy.
Per the constant
ledge and make sure he doesn't buy a damn pizza oven.
Trevor, when are you getting shredded?
Don't know.
What's the plan?
I had a conversation with another client of mine who is a competitor. I had to talk to her about it yesterday.
You talked to her about you getting shredded?
Yes.
And?
Likely next year.
Nice. Yeah,
so
you're gonna mass
this year. Yeah.
Right, you're gonna mass most of this year and then prep next year.
What are you massing to? 250?
I don't know. Probably last mass ended at about 240. So 245, 250.
Nice.
And then you're gonna bring your best look ever. Is that the plan?
It will probably not be this year, but that is the plan within the next year and a half.
We'll be on prep together. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you think if you're gonna do a show, that'll be then?
Well, it'll be. I mean, I'm starting.
He starts prep.
Yeah. No, I know that, Trevor. I mean you.
If I do one, potentially
somewhere in that year, it sounds like.
Yeah. If I do one, I want to do one before either next year or early 25.
That'd be really cool to see.
Dylan White was very funny. I sent him some of the photos, like a sneak from the photo shoot, and he was like, "Bro, you're such a fucking waste of air that you don't compete." He's like, you're such a waste of time. Like, why don't you compete? Because when I'm very lean, Trevor's seen some of the photos. Like, I have like a lot of classic lines. Like, my body looks cool.
You would do well. You would do.
Yeah, I would love to see. I would love to see. Just hop on, dude. Who gives a fuck? Go book a tanning appointment. You're already there.
I mean, so I'm more there than I'm not. I literally would need to diet for one more mesocycle.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just for shits, just to say you did it. You know what I mean?
But I don't want to do it. That's the thing.
At least at least you just don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, why don't you want to do it? Is it just like you just don't care, or like?
So there's a few reasons, and maybe this will actually be useful for some of the viewers. There's a few reasons why I don't want to compete, and in no order. Number one, I don't want to shave my whole body. That's number one. Again, this is not in order. This is just reason. Number two, nice to meet you. Number two, I think that I think the last month of dieting is really where all of the quote unquote problems or real discomforts start to set in. I got pretty lean in this time around. And I don't really have serious diet fatigue. I didn't have crazy brain fog. I wasn't fucked up. Let's just put it plain and simple.
Yeah.
But I think the last month of a show, that's like really where you do start to get fucked up and like really warrant that recovery period. Like for me in a week, it's going to be like I didn't even, it's like I'm back to normal for sure. It'll take me a week, maybe 10 days. Whereas, there's literally something called a recovery diet. That's like 2 months. to get back to normality. So there's that. Number 3, I don't really want to get in my undies on stage. That doesn't like. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a performer and I love crowds, but like that doesn't, you know what I mean? Just like beauty pageanting.
I
was gonna say do physique.
Yeah, do physique. Wear board shorts.
No. If I did it, it'd be classic physique. No fucking way.
Straight legs. I'm not putting fucking board shorts on.
Yeah, no. I think classic physique is cool. That's definitely what I would do. And I know also from like a business standpoint, like I don't really think it would bring me anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm very relatable as I am. Yeah, it might open me up to like a new level of people, but like I don't care so much about competitors. Like that's not really who I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
It might not be competitors though, just being on stage. Like for example, there's a guy who's competing at my gym and he didn't do as well as he did last season, but he was just showing me his like reach and engagement on Instagram. It was like 2.1 million people, like just from him doing back-to-back shows, like just from that exposure. You know, getting on stage, getting lean, posting up about it. Not that, you know, again, I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily an essential thing, nor would I push anybody to compete who doesn't want to compete either.
But I will tell you this, I think at my stage, if I was to push any more, that is the only way. Like that's the only next step for me. Like getting photo shoot lean and having an awesome look. Like I did that last year and then I beat that this year. So if I was going to beat that again, that would pretty much be stage.
Yeah. You're literally, you're lean enough for physique. At least you were Wednesday. I assume
I still have veins all over my abs now.
You may be a little more bloated, but I assume you're still there.
Not really. From like little meals here and there. Like I got over 13,000 steps today.
Well, I'm a water buffalo, remember?
Yeah. No, I'm excited when these photos come out. I mean, obviously I'm going to dope them out like for a while. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, so you get 6 months of content now.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll still have a few of them. Yeah, Dylan, I'll send you them when we're off here and you can look at it and be like, whoa, I know him.
When you're hanging out with Dylan too, see when he can come back on, because I think it'd actually be cool to have him on after his.
You guys want to do like a one tomorrow? I'll be with him.
I mean, no, let him enjoy, you know, competing.
No, let's not do that. If you guys are in, I will force him on. I'm not you guys. I'm not subtle.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like if you just did a show, like I actually would kind of want him to even reflect on it a little bit too. Like give him some time, because like I feel like
I'm gonna ask him when I talk to him tomorrow morning, because he and I are training. I'll ask him if he wants to do it. If he does, then maybe you guys are for free tomorrow. Let's do it.
I might be.
I could probably swing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if not, it's also fine, because I think, you know, having that time to sit with it's a big accomplishment. You know,
I'll talk to him about it, and then also it's probably worth you at some point. Well, yeah, I'll talk to you about it after. Yeah, I'll ask him. And he can tell you all about it.
Sweet.
Because right now he's pigging his face out, which is to be expected.
Yeah, definitely. It's very warranted. He earned it. All right, well, let's get off here. Hopefully we'll have a guest on next time, whether it's Dylan or Milo or Nick. I'll reach back out to him, but end it here. All right, it was good talking to you guys.
Always.